Tying up another Carrie Stevens pattern today from the Hilliard book on Carrie Stevens streamers. This is the Carrie's favorite. Pretty little fly with the magenta wings in here and the Golden Badger on this. Tied like a lot of her other flies. There's no tail on this. It's just a silver tinsel body. Has the bucktail in for the belly. Trying to shorten up these videos just a little bit in terms of the repetitive nature of some of these streamers and everything. So some of this I'm not going to show all of every step of the tying. I will kind of speed it up, but there will be some chapter markers, I think that's what they're called, down in the description. So if you want to, or in the timeline, if you want to jump to right where I tie in the throat or right when I tie in the wing or do the head or whatever, I'm going to try and start including those with all of these just because they are kind of long videos. But that is the Carrie's favorite. I'll get started tying. I'm going to start Carrie's fancy with my hook and the vise. This is a Partridge CS15, a size 4. I'm going to go ahead and debarb the hook. If you have your hackles are shorter or smaller that you're going to use for the wings, go with like a CS5 9X, which is it's still a size 4, but it's just a shorter shank to it. I'm going to attach my thread. The first thread I'm using the Danville 3/0 white mono, and the reason is the body on Carrie's favorite is just silver tinsel, and I like to use the white thread. You don't have to. You could use it. The head has a orange band in it. You could just use orange if you want, but in case I get any gaps in that tinsel forward when I go down and back, the white doesn't show up so well. So this is why I use the white. The other thing is I want to put a base layer of thread on here because then the tinsel, I'll actually put some flex cement on the thread wraps, and it'll help to adhere that tinsel to it a little bit better. Makes the fly a little bit more durable. I'm going to attach my thread a little bit behind the eye, and I'm just going to put a base layer of thread all the way down and back, and then I will attach the tinsel. So with my base layer of thread on, I'll go ahead and attach the tinsel for the body. I'm using a Danville Mylar tinsel. This is a silver and gold Mylar tinsel and no, that's not the 1618. Wrong one. I'm using the size 10 silver and gold Mylar tinsel. 16 and 18 would be wrapping for a long time. I'm going to tie this in with the gold side up. I am putting a double layer whenever I have a tinsel body like this. I like to put in a double layer because I think it just gives it a nice smoother body. It's also a little bit more forgiving in terms of if you have any gaps, you're sure to get those covered up. I'm going to put a thin coat of some Dave's Flex Cement on the thread wraps here, and this is just to help secure that tinsel down. This tinsel has a lot of memory to it, and if you just wrap those on there, and if you hit a rock or a fish fighting real hard or something, breaks that tinsel, a lot of times that tinsel is just going to start coming unwrapped. If you've ever been wrapping a body like this and your fingers trip up and you end up losing a hold of it, you'll know what I'm talking about because it just all unravels almost back to the very point you started. This layer of flex cement will help to adhere the tinsel to the hook shank and keep that from happening, and it just makes the fly last a little bit longer when you're fishing it. tinsel body in, I'll secure that up here in the head space and bring my thread back down where I'll tie in the bucktail. There is a belly on the Carrie's favorite, and it's just some white bucktail. I have selected this and stacked this so that the tips are a little more even. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. Some people like them tapered a little bit more. Sometimes I kind of go back and forth. If I'm just wanting to tie some flies to go fishing with, I generally won't take that extra step to stack them, but I do like the look of them a little bit more. Clean those up. I'm going to tie this in so that it is just a little bit beyond the bend of the hook. Tie that in on the underside. Secure that down. And then I'll trim away the excess. There's a throat on the Carrie's favorite. It is some white hackle and some golden pheasant tippet. I'm using some white schlappen for the throat. I've got 3 segments here that I'm going to tie in. I want this to go about halfway down the belly there. You'll notice I haven't changed over to my orange thread yet. It's kind of a habit I've gotten into lately. Because I'm tying in a white throat, the white thread will blend with it a little bit better. So I just go ahead and keep the white thread on. I'll get the first segment in and the second and third a little bit in front of where I tied that first one in, and a little bit on the sides. Bring my thread forward to behind the eye of the hook, maybe back just a little bit, and now I'm going to attach my orange thread. The head on the Carrie's favorite is black with an orange band. I'm using some Uni Thread 80, and this is a pumpkin color. It's kind of a brighter orange. The orange Danville that I have is a little bit more subdued. Not bad, but I kind of like this brighter orange just a little bit better. It's not a fluorescent, is the nice thing. The Danville one looks kind of like a rusty orange. I'm going to attach my thread behind the eye, wrapping that in and securing the white thread and the tag of the orange. I'm going to wrap this back to about the end of the head space here, and that's where I'm going to tie in the golden pheasant crest. So just one crest feather, because of the fact that this already has a white throat. I'm treating, it doesn't say how much golden pheasant to put in. I'm just using one because I'm treating it as kind of like a topping, even though it's on the bottom of this. It's just a little something to add a little bit more color here. I don't think you want to try and have an even amount of the gold color as well as the white. The easiest way I found to tie these in is to tie it here at the base. I set this in place, and I get, you see it just kind of moved on me. I get about 3 or 4 wraps on there. I can move this back up and kind of twist that around. I want to see that this is staying up there, but see how it twisted on me like that? I want to try and pull it to my right, and sometimes, and I can get it to twist back over so it's down. Now it's going the other way. Get a few more wraps to kind of secure that, and then again I'm pulling this to my right to get all of this the correct length as far as the throat is concerned. Then I will secure that in, and trim away the excess. Also, I'm not as concerned if this is it's going off to one side this way or that, because as this is swimming in the water, it's all going to flow back and move around with the fibers for the throat. I imagine if you're going to tie this and you want to frame it, present it to somebody, that you'll want to take a little bit more care and try and get that to just lay on top and not be canted to one side. Cleaning that up a little bit, I'm ready to put in the wing. The first part of the wing is some Peacock Herl, 4 to 6 strands of Peacock Herl. And you're just going to get those and even up the tips of those just a little bit. They don't have to be perfect. I want to get those close to being even. These are just from some strung herl. You could use that. They're good enough, I think, for this streamer. If you want something, again, if you're framing it, then you might take some herls right off of a feather because they're going to be a little bit fuller. The strung herls like this, the process of stitching them together, stuffing them in a bag and shipping them and everything, a lot of your barbules and stuff kind of get busted off, so they're not as good looking. It's going to be the same length as the belly. I'll trim away the excess. And now we're ready for our wing. So the wing on the Carrie's Favorite is a Magenta Hackle, 2 Magenta Hackles. That's going to be 1 on each side. And then that is flanked. There's your Magenta Hackle right there, and is flanked on the outside by a Golden Badger Hackle that is slightly shorter than the Magenta. And then there's a cheek of Jungle Cock. There's no shoulder on this. It's just the Magenta feather, the Golden Badger a little bit shorter, and the cheek of Jungle Cock. So I'm going to even these up here. I want to make certain I've got them even down here at the base as well as the tip. Pretty even. I'm going to trim away the excess. I just need a little bit off the end right here to tie in, and I'll actually even wrap down on some of these barbs right here on at the very base of the wing. So I'm going to tie in the wing. I'm going to put my side on first so that you can see where I'm tying this in at. My hands are awfully dry. We are entering that time of year of low humidity, and where the hands get awfully dry, that means the materials tend to slip around in my hands a little bit sometimes. So I'm going to get the end of that anchored in on the top and towards my side of the headspace there. I'll put the other one on right next to it, evening those up. Now get that anchored in. Make certain that this is setting right. I can move that a little bit. I have found that I would rather go ahead and tie on some of the base here because it closes up this space a little bit more around the throat, and you don't get any of the white thread wraps coming through. Apparently have one magenta barb that wants to be free. With that in the right place, I will then wrap in the head with the orange and then secure that, and I'll attach the black for the rear and front band. I'll add a little bit of wax to my thread. That way when I do the whip finish here, it will secure it real well, and I don't have to worry about that thread popping out from underneath the whip finish. I'm not going to attach my black thread. I'm using some Danville 70 Denier 6/0 in black. I'm going to attach it on the rear portion right here to make the rear band. And then once that's done, I'll attach it in the front. Now, the reason that I do it this way, and if you've watched some of my videos already, I've explained this in other videos, but if you're new, the reason for this is if I were to make the head all black and then put an orange band in the center, the orange would get much darker because of the black underneath it. This way, the black will easily cover up the orange, and this way, the orange, or if it's red or whatever color band is supposed to be in the middle, it stays brighter. I don't think that's how Carrie Stevens did it. I think she did it with, actually, I think she did it all with white thread and then attached the black up here and then whatever band and black again to make the heads. Don't quote me on that. I'm still doing a little bit of research to find out the subtle nuances of how she did these, because she did all these by hand too. So, but I get the same effect with the black head and a orange band here, but the orange keeps its nice color this way. You want each band, the orange and the black, to be about 1/3 of the head space. Be careful that you don't get too many wraps on here, because you don't want to bulk up that portion of the head. And again, putting a little wax on my thread here as I do the whip finish, so that the wax will help the thread to keep from sliding out from underneath those wraps for the whip finish when I cut it. Not a requirement, but it does help. The wax, I have found more and more that adding wax to your thread while you're tying definitely helps in a lot of different flies. So with the head complete, I'm going to put some Fly Tight. This is a thin head cement called Fly Tight. I'm going to put a coat on here, and that's going to soak down into those thread wraps to secure those. And then I'll come back and put a couple layers of a clear lacquer on there, not to gloss it up as much as just to help to protect the threads, especially if it's going to be a fishing fly. And that is the Carrie's Favorite. Very pretty fly with the magenta in there, and the Golden Badger adds a nice kind of contrast to it. Some of that out of there so you can see it a little bit better. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com, where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.